Lu Yang walked along the streets of Yunjia County, the hometown he had left many years ago to seek the Tao. It was only with the remaining morsel of their inheritance, and the assistance from the neighborhood that he managed to scrape by. During the decade he spent in his small town, he had heard the storyteller narrate tales of immortals with swords ascending to the heavens, disastrous floods caused by river demons turning around from 500 li away, as well as accounts of Immortal Sect disciples exterminating demons and devils, upholding justice with their flying swords. It thus dawned upon Lu Yang that this was no longer the world he was familiar with nor any of the historic dynasties he had recollection of. This was a world where people could cultivate and individuals could amass immense power. Since he wanted to seek the Tao and master the immortal arts of longevity, the Wendao Sect was his first choice. There was one reason for selecting it. The Wendao Sect was the only sect in the vicinity. Amid the pouring rain, a solitary figure was trudging alone along the narrow path leading to Wendao Sect. A young maiden with long, flowing silver hair and an ethereal aura like a celestial fairy descending to the mortal world. "Hello, big sister," a voice rang out from the nearby horse carriage. The old horse continued on for a few more steps before gradually coming to a halt. The man continued speaking in a gentle voice. "Walking in this direction, you must also be heading to the Wendao Sect to participate in the trials. Since it's raining, why not get in the carriage and rest your feet?" The woman seemed slightly surprised, but she agreed after giving it a brief thought, the moment she got on the carriage. She spoke politely. "Yunji thanks you both." Sitting opposite her were two young men. The young man with blue hair, holding a fan in his hand, introduced himself. "I am Meng Jingzhou. There's no need to be so polite, big sister. After all, we are on the same path, and we might even be in the same sect in the future." The remaining one was our male protagonist. He cupped his hands together and greeted politely. "I am Lu Yan. Big sister doesn't need to thank me either. I was also invited onto the carriage by Brother Meng while I was traveling." The moment she got on the carriage, Meng Jingzhou and Lu Yang were left dumbfounded. Despite priding himself on his extensive life experience, even Meng Jingzhou found the woman before him to be the most beautiful he had ever laid eyes upon. Not to mention Lu Yang, the most attractive woman the latter had ever seen was the tofu-selling young widow next door. Naturally, Lu Yang was a proper gentleman, and bore no indecorous thoughts toward her. Meng Jingzhou eagerly pressed on. "Ha ha ha, it's all fate. Brother Lu and I have had a great chat, and we were just talking about the Wendao Sect's entrance test." Young Master Meng spoke incessantly and enthusiastically about the strict admission regulations. The Wendao Sect, one of the 5 great immortal sects, is notoriously strict when it comes to recruiting disciples. First, one must be under 16 years of age. Second, one's spiritual root must not be too poor. Finally, one must pass 2 stages of trials. He explained. The first stage tests decision-making. A flying sword goes out of control. Do you ignore it and let it stab 5 people to death? Or do you divert it to stab 1 person next to it? The second stage tests integrity. There is a mirror in the Tao-seeking sect that can ascertain whether your words are true or false. If it detects that you are lying, you will be disqualified immediately. Who is the most handsome person in the world? Ha ha, me. Truth, you passed. You face a mirror that can distinguish truth from lies, answer its questions, and you cannot lie. Only by passing these 2 stages will you qualify to become a disciple of the Wendao Sect. If you too have any questions, you can ask me. Upon hearing that, Lu Yang joyfully stood up and raised his hand, eagerly seizing the chance to ask first. But Meng Jingzhou smiled with his eyes curved into crescents as he looked toward the girl and said, "Ahem, ladies first, big sister Yunji, you go first." Yunji asked softly. "The contents of these trials are kept secret. May I ask how young Master Meng came to know of them?" Meng Jingzhou proudly opened his fan, preparing to reveal a heaven-shaking, earth-shattering secret. "I bought them for a hefty sum from an elder of the Wendao Sect. Today I traveled alone to participate in the Wendao Sect's trials. It is fate that I met you 2 fellow Taoists on the way, so I shared this matter with you, but please do not spread it around." Lu Yang was utterly shocked upon hearing that. Isn't this cheating? We're not far from the Wendao Sect now. If a mighty expert of the Wendao Sect were passing by and accidentally overheard. The transmigrator guy frantically flung open the window and shouted loudly, "I didn't ask voluntarily. I'm a victim too, if there were a passing Wendao Sect. At that exact moment, outside the horse carriage, on a large tree, a mysterious figure in a black cloak was faintly visible, lurking in the pouring rain. Meng Jingzhou hurriedly covered Lu Yang's mouth and reassured him, "Don't worry, Brother Lu, listen to me. My carriage is no ordinary one, it's a 3-no carriage." Lu Yang was puzzled. 3-no? Young Master Meng confidently affirmed, "Of course. No obstruction, equipped with a one-way observation window, the owner can observe the outside from the inside. No bumps, equipped with super shock absorbers and jade horses, no bumps on any terrain. No detection, equipped with a switchable privacy mode, the carriage interior cannot be probed by divine sense. Safe, comfortable, long endurance." Lu Yang finally breathed a sigh of relief. "I see." Young Master Meng then teased, "I didn't expect Brother Lu to be so upright, it's my..." But upon hearing the word safe, Lu Yang instantly did a complete turnaround. "Since no one can hear us, Brother Meng, give me more details. Are there any walk throughs to pass?" "The guaranteed to pass kind." The other two were left speechless. The carriage continued forward and entered the sect gate through the rain. Lu Yang peeked his head out of the window. "Oh, the rain has stopped." Meng Jingzhou explained, "No, it's the Wendao Sect protecting grand array that blocked the rain." Lifting his head, Meng Jingzhou saw a multitude of mystical beasts and immortal magic devices heading straight for the towering mountain that seemed to pierce the sky. Looking at the scene before him, he couldn't help but exclaim in shock, "Oh my God, this mountain gateway is way more imposing than our Meng families." In Lu Yang's heart, he was extremely moved. "It's been over 10 years since I transmigrated to this world, and I've finally seen real cultivators." But worries about his spiritual roots suddenly surged. Lu Yang feared he might not meet the requirements to join the sect. Meng Jingzhou looked at the disciples flying above, then patted his new friend's shoulder encouragingly. "Brother Lu, look at those cultivators. They are all core disciples of the Wendao Sect, under the tutelage of various major elders. Who knows, they might be our senior brothers and sisters in the future." The great powers of the sect appeared with dignified and solemn bearing to begin the ceremony. Meng Jingzhou rubbed his hands nervously. "They look like they're all ready. Once the host of the trials arrives, the first stage of testing spiritual roots will begin. This aura, it's making me a bit nervous. What about you, Brother Lu?" Lu Yang replied, "I'm nervous too." He turned around, wanting to check if Yunji was excited or anxious. "Miss Yunji, you?" Before Lu Yang could finish his sentence, Yunji had already ambled away. A white lotus flower appeared beneath her feet in sync with every step through the air, accentuating her delicate frame. An uproar erupted among the crowd, prompting the senior clan members to shush their juniors as beads of cold sweat broke out on their foreheads. Lu Yang and Meng Jingzhou were stunned out of their wits, unable to believe their eyes. "Brother Meng, what's going on here?" "I don't know." The suspended trail of white lotus flowers ended right in the middle of Dao-seeking sect's core disciples, who bowed deferentially at Yunji. Turning toward the crowd, Yunji's lips curved into a smile. "Thank you all for waiting. I am the eldest senior sister of the Wendao Sect, and the host of this trial. I declare, the trials officially begin." Yunji didn't forget to sneak a knowing smile at the gaping Lu Yang and Meng Jingzhou. "I am indeed here to participate in the Wendao Sect selection trials, but I never said I was a candidate. I'm an examiner." Lu Yang and Meng Jingzhou had only one thought remaining in their heads. "It's over. I can't believe that we actually discussed how to cheat in front of the examiner." Lu Yang nervously bit his finger and asked, "Brother Meng, Miss Yunji won't kick the two of us out, right?" Meng Jingzhou suddenly flew into a rage and shouted, "Not afraid. If we get kicked out in public, we can use that humiliation as motivation to work hard, constantly encounter fortuitous opportunities, soar into the sky, and become an existence that even the 5 great immortal sects look up to. Is that how it's written in storybooks? The protagonist gets humiliated and falsely accused, loses face, and then the other side's whole family has to die. But it seems Miss Yunji doesn't even need to falsely accuse us." Makes sense, but I still want to try. What about you, Brother Lu?" Lu Yang made up his mind, his gaze becoming sharper. After all, this was the only chance in his life to truly step onto the path of cultivation. He looked at the immortals hovering in midair, pondered for a moment, then spoke. Since Miss Yunji hasn't said anything up to now, I'm going to try too. After all, this might be the only opportunity in my entire life. Then what are we waiting for? Let's line up, let's go. The spirit root is the first hurdle on the journey to immortality. If your spirit root is inadequate, you won't be able to go far in your cultivation, no matter how many resources are poured in. For the first round, everyone will line up to have their spirit root tested. Most who came to attend the Dao-seeking sect's examinations were already aware of their own spirit roots. Rarely were there people like Lu Yang who had come to try their luck just because it was close to home. A Wendao Sect disciple, Dai Bufan, was sitting right at the front. Living up to his extraordinary name, he practiced a unique cultivation technique. By sending his spirit energy into someone else's body, he could immediately determine their spirit root, cultivation techniques, and even where their weak points were. In combat, he was like a fish in water. Like a seasoned physician, all it took for Dai Bufan was to place 2 fingers on the other person's wrist to ascertain their spirit root. Metal, water, and fire tri-spiritual root? It's passable, you passed. 18 years old? You're over the age limit, go back. Water and wood dual spiritual root, you suffered heavy trauma at the age of 12, damaging your foundation, but you met an expert who cured you, passed. The candidate was astounded. You can figure all that out, just by feeling my pulse. After the candidate walked away, a disciple thronged to congratulate Dai Bufan. Senior brother Dai can see the cause and effect just by taking a pulse. It seems your cultivation has advanced, congratulations. Dai Bufan lightly remarked, oh, that expert was me. Before the disciple could say anything else, Dai Bufan was already waving his hand at the next candidate. The next was a small novice monk, and Dai Bufan recognized him at a glance. What is a young novice monk from the Xiankong Temple doing here? You still have the brand left by the abbot of Xiankong Temple in your body. Go back to your Xiankong Temple. Hearing this, Lu Yang asked, Xiankong Temple? I remember it's one of the 5 great immortal sects. Meng Jingzhou cheerfully explained. That's right, the Xiankong Temple has very few people. Even at its peak, it hasn't exceeded 10 people. Dai Bufan continued examining the next candidate, and exclaimed in surprise, huh? Honest poor man bloodline, this ancient barbarian bloodline, I haven't seen it in a long time. The burly young man grinned brightly upon hearing he had passed. Lu Yang and Meng Jingzhou were astonished, wondering if this tall fellow was really only 16 years old. Ancient barbarian bloodline was indeed a rare find. Dai Bufan began to grow bored, yawning as he called out, next, next. But the moment he touched the next candidate, his eyes widened in shock, his expression doing a complete 180. He shouted in extreme excitement, single, single. The booming voice drew everyone's attention. Single spiritual root. Meng Jingzhou was baffled, not understanding what was happening. Rage exploded within Meng Jingzhou. He slammed the table, veins bulging. Hey, how can there be a single spiritual root? I might be inexperienced, but don't try to trick me. An ethereal, fairy-like voice intervened. Junior brother Dai wasn't tricking you. You really do have a single spiritual root. That is its academic name. Yunji explained to Meng Jingzhou. It's just that in the cultivation world, everyone is more used to calling it by its common name, pure yang spiritual root. Dai Bufan added, pure yang spiritual root, a mutated single-element spiritual root. It is supremely resolute and supremely yang, the nemesis of ghosts and spirits. Maintain your pure yang body, and your cultivation will advance 1,000 miles a day. Break your pure yang body, and your cultivation will plummet 1,000 miles a day. You passed, go to the next testing area. Meng Jingzhou burst into tears. No wonder they didn't allow me near women. No wonder they started preparing for a second child after testing my spiritual root, so that's how it is. Per young master. Lu Yang quietly retorted from the back, Brother Meng's spiritual root, why does its common name sound more academic than its academic name? Because the first senior with a pure yang spiritual root called his own spiritual root the single spiritual root. With Yunji's unfathomable cultivation level, Lu Yang's soft murmur was no different from speaking right into her ear. Yunji paused, then continued. The cultivation world has a custom of respecting predecessors who are single. It was as if she thought that adding this one sentence would make it more convincing. It was now Liu Yang's turn. Dai Bufan's pupils constricted. Humph? Sword, innate sword. Liu Yang shouted, speak the common name. Dai Bufan quickly corrected, oh, sword's spiritual root, unstoppable, the most fierce in offense. Liu Yang was fuming, sword, sword, sword my ass. Despite his annoyance at the name, he still received the notice. You passed, follow the guiding senior brother to the next testing area. Behind Dai Bufan was a bamboo forest, the venue for the second round. Meng Jingzhou eagerly asked Liu Yang. How did it go? What is your spirit root? It's alright. Even if your spiritual root is average, you're still my friend, Meng Jingzhou. Sword's spirit root. What is this feeling of being both happy and disappointed? You can't stand seeing your brother suffer, but you also don't want to see him driving a Land Rover. I understand what you mean, but what is a Land Rover? Anyway, it's a good thing. A few hours went by again. Dai Bufan continued to eliminate the people whose spirit root did not meet the requirements, while those who passed moved on to the second round. Overhearing some of the discussions from the people behind, it appeared that there were a few more candidates with special constitutions. Before they could ask around, however, Yunji once again stood before everyone and casually commented. The second round will begin now. A mysterious space unfolded, obscuring everyone's vision. The candidates began stepping into the hazy mist to undergo the test. Meng Jingzhou exclaimed nervously, This is? Brother Liu, this fog isn't quite right. Everyone began to feel uneasy at the sudden change in their surroundings. Liu Yang tried to reassure his friend, Brother Liu, don't panic, naturally, we can't consult each other during the second test flying sword examination. This fog probably just wants to separate us. The two steeled their resolve, so be it. Brother Liu, see you at the finish line. Brother Liu, that's right, see you at the finish line. Meanwhile, in the observation area, Dai Bufan commented, I hope more can pass. There are a few good seedlings in this batch. It would be a pity if they failed at the second test. Hearing this, Yunji asked, Junior brother Dai, who do you think can pass the second test? Dai Bufan stroked his chin and analyzed, naturally, it's that ancient barbarian. They are famous for being simple-minded. Those with the single spiritual root and sword's spiritual root are not bad either. They look like honest people at first glance. Honest people? Yunji immediately recalled the scene of Liu Yang and Meng Jingzhou plotting their cheating scheme. She then asked, By the way, Junior brother Dai, is there any elder who is short of money lately? Dai Bufan was puzzled. I haven't heard of any. Eldest senior sister, why do you ask? Yunji replied calmly. Oh, I heard that an elder sold the information about our test stages from 20 years ago. This statement caused Dai Bufan and the disciples behind him to turn pale, cold sweat pouring down their faces. Dai Bufan explained the new round to Yunji. Eldest senior sister, there is no need to worry. Our examination venue is the bamboo forest illusion. It can make people forget their identities and the test, forget everything, and react most genuinely according to their true nature. Dai Bufan further emphasized. Moreover, the current test questions are completely different from 20 years ago. They were designed by Senior River Spirit of the Bamboo Forest, testing honesty and greed. The burly man from the ancient barbarian tribe was called Mangu. His name meant barbaric nature, which bore the same term as his bloodlines. He scanned his surroundings in bafflement, having completely forgotten what had transpired a while ago. He was standing beside a picturesquely shimmering river, and in his hand was a worn-out axe. Suddenly, the old axe slipped from his hand and fell into the small river. Mangu was just about to retrieve it when he noticed the river's surface bubbling. The size of the bubbles expanded until a fountain of water gushed out, and a celestial-like figure appeared. The old man held up a worn-out axe and asked, Young man, I am the river spirit. Did you just drop this worn-out axe? Or this spirit artifact mountain-splitting axe? Or perhaps this immortal artifact heaven-splitting axe? The mountain-splitting axe and the heaven-splitting axe were two renowned axes in the central continent. Even mortals with no talent could soar to magnificent heights and become prominent figures if they got hold of these two axes. Mangu blurted out, It was the worn-out axe. The river spirit smiled faintly. What an honest young man. I will give all 3 of these axes to you. And thus, Mangu passed the second round. In the distance, Dai Bufan crossed his arms proudly. The condition to pass this stage is to obtain 3 axes. And the method is to honestly answer the river spirit's question. I said before that ancient barbarians are simple-minded, so passing this stage won't be a problem. He began to pay attention to the next group. Let me see how the boys with the single spiritual root and the sword's spiritual root will choose. The river spirit emerged once more, inquiring cordially, Young man, I am the river spirit. Did you just drop this worn-out axe? Or this spirit artifact mountain-splitting axe? Or perhaps this immortal artifact heaven-splitting axe? Lu Yang was puzzled, feeling like there was some strange force compelling him to drop the axe, bent down, sweeping his gaze over the 3 different axes. Raising his head, he stared at the river spirit pitifully, as if the latter was a fool. 2 of the axes belong to you. Don't you know which axes you own? Why are you asking me instead? The river spirit's smile froze in place, stumped for words. He could only follow Lu Yang's rhythm. I truly don't know which 2 axes belong to me. Lu Yang eyed the river spirit warily. In that case, if I choose an axe, you are not going to suddenly recover your memory and tell me which 2 axes are yours, right? Of course not, the river spirit vowed. The river spirit thought to himself, I'll just give you whichever you choose, since you need 3 to pass the test anyway. Lu Yang said calmly, Let me take a look at the 3 axes. The river spirit handed the 3 axes to Lu Yang. He muttered, Tricking me won't work, you know. Only the one you dropped counts as yours. The rules I set are comprehensively considered and foolproof. Lu Yang continued, All right, now ask me again. The river spirit reflexively repeated, Did you drop the worn-out axe? Or the spirit artifact mountain-splitting axe? Or perhaps the immortal artifact heaven-splitting axe? Before the old man could react, Lu Yang threw all of them into the river right in front of him. He pretended to be naive and exclaimed, I dropped all of them. The river spirit. Gritting his teeth, he could only say, What an honest young man, you may have all 3 axes. My axes? Meng Jingzhou hollered in the illusionary domain. His first thought was to go into the water to retrieve his axe. The river spirit appeared on the river's surface, holding 3 axes. Young man, you. Before the river spirit could finish, he witnessed Meng Jingzhou diving straight into the river. The bubbles he makes are even larger than mine. What on earth is going on? The river spirit was stupefied. It was his first time encountering such a situation. Before the river spirit could figure out what Meng Jingzhou was up to, something unusual happened once again. Ripples on the river's surface grew more rampant, prompting the river spirit to knit his brow. I am controlling my power well, so it shouldn't be due to my aura waves. 3 water jets spurted out of the river, spraying golden mist across the whole river which shrouded the river spirit's view. 3 figures appeared. They all bore Meng Jingzhou's appearance, but it was not a stretch to say that their mannerisms were completely different from the original. In front of him were Meng Jingzhou the mortal, Meng Jingzhou the formidable cultivator, and Meng Jingzhou the immortal. This phenomenon could be explained by the illusionary domain's fundamental principle. Anything that falls into the river would manifest in 3 forms: mortal, spirit, and immortal. Handed over, the 3 Meng Jingzhous requested simultaneously, grabbing their respective axes. With immortal Meng Jingzhou around, the river spirit was at his mercy. Immortal Meng Jingzhou obtained the heaven-splitting axe, the immortal artifact. Formidable cultivator Meng Jingzhou obtained the mountain-splitting axe, the spirit artifact, and the mortal Meng Jingzhou took advantage of the other 2's presence to deftly swipe the worn-out axe before the river spirit could register what was happening. With all 3 axes in hand, the illusionary domain shattered, and Meng Jingzhou successfully passed the second round. He happily boasted that he had passed this round, then asked Lu Yang how it went. He calmly replied, Piece of cake. Lu Yang mocked. They even changed the test questions. Was it useful? Young Master Meng answered decisively, completely useless. Then the 2 burst into laughter. Behind them, the examiners were hidden in the mist, quietly observing. Hearing this, Yunji and the Wendao Sect disciples all glanced at Dai Bufan, their looks seeming to say, Looks like an honest person at first glance. He could only laugh awkwardly. Ha ha, I misjudged. Suddenly, a piercing sound echoed across the sky. Just then, the real river spirit appeared with a golden and a silver axe in his hands, belligerently marching toward Lu Yang and Meng Jingzhou. Where are those two little brats? I must teach them a good lesson today. The other disciples hurriedly tried to stop him. Senior River Spirit, please quell your anger. Senior River Spirit, calm down first. But he kept roaring, don't anyone stop me. I'm going to break their arms and legs, reattach them, and then chop them off 100 times. In the end, it required Dai Bufan's intervention to restrain the incensed river spirit. Senior, please quell your anger. If something happens to the participants of the test, the Wendao Sect will be laughed at if word gets out. Dai Bufan, this third test was personally designed by me. Dai Bufan, it will definitely teach these two a lesson. River Spirit turned and growled, what is your test? Mount Wenxin. A miniature mountain appeared in Dai Bufan's palm. He explained, a wondrous item refined by an elder of my Wendao Sect. On the mountain, immortals and mortals are equal, and everyone's physique is unified. Senior, just wait and see these two brats suffer a setback. With a flip of his hand, a mountain the size of his palm materialized. Within the time span of a few breaths, it had already shot up to a few hundred zhang in height. 1 zhang converts to about 3.33 meter. Dense with lush and verdant trees, it was no different from an actual mountain. On one side of the mountain was a long staircase leading to the summit. Dai Bufan declared loudly, what you need to do is climb Mount Wenxin. The higher you climb, the firmer your will is. There is no time limit for the test. If you can use Dharma treasures and props, their use is not restricted either. As long as you can climb to the 50th step, you will have passed this final test. Everyone exchanged glances with one another before finally turning to the strongest person in the group. Man Gu, I'll go first. Conscious of everyone's eyes on him, he proceeded to take the lead without hesitation. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, 10 steps. Man Gu didn't break a single sweat for the first 10 steps. However, from the 11th step, the pressure gradually intensified. It was as if there was a rock on his back. The higher he climbed, the heavier it became. But I can still handle it. Let's keep going. Man Gu gasped a few mouthfuls of air and steadied his breathing before heading toward the 20th step. The candidates behind began to stir. He stopped already. Someone voiced their concern. The examiner just said that the firmer the will, the higher one climbs, and this ancient barbarian is famously single-minded. He is already like this before reaching the 30th step. Won't it be even more difficult for us? A red-haired candidate nudged him and mocked. What, are you scared? If you're scared before even getting on the mountain, then I think there's no need to climb this mountain anymore. You might as well stay at the bottom of the mountain and watch me catch up from behind and surpass that barbarian. You! The remaining candidates also began cheering. He's right, just climb, surpass that barbarian. And so the group charged forward together. That's right, hesitating at the bottom of the mountain won't do. Let's all go up together, surpass him, surpass him. Meng Jingzhou turned to Lu Yang. Brother Lu, it seems there is no technique to this stage. I have a heart-calming mantra that can calm the mind. I'll teach it to you right now. He casually refused. No need for now. I want to do an experiment. An experiment? The people nearby, upon hearing the word experiment, turned to look curiously with puzzled expressions. What is that boy with the sword's spiritual root doing, going up and down the mountain and steps? Don't tell me he's going to pull some stunt again? Observing from above, Dai Bufan snorted confidently. My Mount Wenxin has no loopholes for him to exploit. If he doesn't climb up step by step with his feet firmly planted on the ground, he will definitely not pass this stage. The whole mountain has the same effect. Not walking on the steps won't work either. Meanwhile, Meng Jingzhou began practicing the heart-calming mantra. His heartbeat slowed, and his mind gradually became extremely peaceful and detached. So peaceful that he fell asleep, just looking at the drool on his face. You could tell he was dreaming about something very pleasant. The heart-calming mantra allowed him to enter a state of Zen meditation. His mind was thoroughly serene without a single distracting thought. He felt as if he had become one with nature, his entire body comfortable and carefree. But just as he was enjoying the dream, a punch flew straight into the sun in his imagination. Lu Yang shouted, "Wake the hell up!" Meng Jingzhou woke up with a pitiful face and one cheek swollen. He asked indignantly, "Brother Lu, why did you hit me?" Lu Yang irritably pointed up the mountain. "Look up the mountain. They've climbed that high already?" "Of course, I finished my experiments, drew the blueprints, and even waited for you for 2 Shurchen." Lu Yang stopped him to prepare for a bolder plan. "Do you have a sharp artifact that can cut down trees?" "I actually do. It can be precisely controlled by intent, and cuts through iron like mud. My family gave it to me for self-defense. What are you going to use it for?" Lu Yang grinned in delight after finding a suitable tool. "Great, with this, we won't have to use the exhausting, stupid method to climb the mountain." Seeing this, Meng Jingzhou asked, "How do we pass the test by climbing? Did Brother Lu think of something?" He confidently replied, "Of course, I have seen through the true meaning of this test. What this stage actually tests is wisdom." Meng Jingzhou was confused after hearing this and asked again, "Wisdom? Why do you say so, Brother Lu?" He continued, "Climbing a mountain to test one's Dao heart is a common entrance test in storybooks. Cultivation techniques and artifacts are ineffective. One can only rely on willpower and the heart that seeks the Dao. You could say it's practical, classic, and traditional." Lu Yang pulled down a blue cloth and began explaining. "I naturally have a basis for this. The key points that Lu Yang summarized from the rules announced by Dai Bufan. There is no time limit for the test. If you can use your artifacts and items, their use is not restricted either. As long as you can climb to the 50th step, you pass this test." He emphasized, "That senior brother actually started hinting at us from the moment he set the test, see? He hinted multiple times that as long as we can do it, the method is not restricted." Meng Jingzhou listened intently, but his thoughts trailed elsewhere. From afar, Yunji was still quietly observing everything. She turned to ask her junior brother, "You actually designed such an ingenious trick into the test?" Dai Bufan broke into a cold sweat, awkwardly trying to explain. "That's right. After all, both the heart that seeks the Tao and the method of seeking the Tao are quite important." "Yes, that's exactly it." The other disciples whispered among themselves. "Method of seeking the Tao. My foot, senior brother Dai definitely just wanted to show off Mount Wenshin and ended up saying too much. Indeed, old Dai just loves showing off that artifact. Only eldest senior sister doesn't know and actually believes him." Hearing this, Dai Bufan's face darkened with anger, while the surrounding disciples immediately turned away, whistling and pretending not to notice to avoid getting dragged into trouble. Back to the test. A candidate's legs were heavily stepping forward on the rough stone steps of the mountain. Meng Jingzhou jumped from one step to another following Lu Yang's instructions to verify the hypothesis. Brother Lu was absolutely right. When I jumped up from the first step, before my feet touched the ground, there was no change at all. It was the same when I jumped back from the 5th step. It was only after I landed that my body suddenly felt lighter. After going up the mountain, our physiques were unified and artifacts were disabled. There must be a reason why such a loophole was left amidst all the strict rules. I believe you, Brother Lu, but how can we, with mortal bodies, climb to the 50th step without stepping on the ground? I've already designed it. Look here, Brother Meng. Lu Yang showed off his blueprint of a giant wooden ladder. Meng Jingzhou exclaimed in admiration, "Wow, Brother Lu, you also know woodworking and mechanics?" They continued discussing their plan under the curious gazes of the Wendao Sect disciples. "The dagger can't fly on the mountain, but chopping down trees is easy. We let the trees roll down the mountain, then use intent to control the dagger to process the wood." "Great, great, great! How much force does your dagger have?" "When controlled by intent, it can exert 1,000 caddies of force." After cutting the wood, they began the assembly process. "That's enough. We can have it help install some of the heavier components, especially the long ladder at the top. Without it, the two of us couldn't possibly push it up. Brother Lu, I don't understand the shape of this part here." "It's like this. You piece it together like this, then twist it, and finally insert the wedge. This is the most standard mortise and tenon structure." Got it, got it. But wouldn't it be slow for us to build such a huge ladder?" "Don't worry, that barbarian reached the 40th step half an hour ago. He'll only get slower from here on out." Meanwhile, the candidates in the distance were crawling forward, drenched in sweat under immense spiritual pressure. Mangu was straining to move inch by inch. 41. He roared in pain, snot and tears streaming down as he struggled against the heavy pressure of Mount Wenqin. The now bare surrounding land looked as if a colossal pig demon had gnawed it clean. The two at the bottom of the steps were also drenched in sweat and gasping for air. They had spent half the day chopping trees and going through multiple rounds of trial and error before finally assembling a ladder. The red-haired candidate struggling up the mountain suddenly froze when he saw a massive wooden ladder appear beside him out of nowhere. Meng Jingzhou placed his hands on his hips and laughed loudly. Easy peasy. He felt extremely refreshed after completing the construction without expending any downright effort, while Lu Yang beside him nodded smugly. Young Master Meng's small sword appeared with an exhausted expression. I did all the work, of course it's easy for you. It was Brother Lu's idea, so Brother Lu should go first. Quick, quick, hurry up and get on. The fastest, Mangu, is only one step away. Meng Jingzhou hurriedly dragged Lu Yang away, leaving Dai Bufan staring blankly at the devastated forest. He clenched his fists unconsciously, his eyes twitching. My mountain, my trees, my test question. Meanwhile, the old river spirit laughed gleefully. Ha ha ha, little Dai did a good job. You've sacrificed a lot for the sect's talent selection. Not only did you expose the loophole of Wenqin, but a large chunk of it was chopped bald. Such a sacrifice is truly great. Yunji also turned and said meaningfully, You indeed did a good job, junior brother Dai. Dai Bufan, with a darkened face full of grievance, forced a smile and gritted his teeth word by word. Hee, senior river spirit, eldest senior sister, this is what I should do. Little Dai. Only these two truly appreciated your well-intentioned efforts. You'll have to take good care of them in the future. Of course, senior river spirit, does this mean you're no longer angry? Since little Dai is so magnanimous, how can a senior like me be petty? The river spirit pointed toward the mountainside. Look, the two of them are already climbing up. Meng Jingzhou scratched his head, staring blankly at Lu Yang climbing the ladder. He asked, Brother Lu, what are you doing this? Lu Yang trembled as he climbed. This is too high, it's a bit dangerous. Is this high? Brother Lu, you wouldn't happen to be afraid of heights, would you? What do you know, this is called safety first. Charge, forward. The further forward, the lower and safer it gets. After much effort, Mangu finally reached the 49th step with all his remaining strength, the last step. Looking at the 50th step in front of him, he exclaimed in immense relief, convinced he was the first to conquer the challenge. Before Mangu could even steady himself, Lu Yang fell from the sky with a bright smile. Arrived, finally arrived, first place, haha. One firm step landed on the ground at the finish line. The Mount Wenqin climbing challenge was completed in a spectacular and highly unconventional way. Suddenly, a loud sound rang out, gravity abruptly increased, causing Lu Yang, who had just jumped down from the ladder, to smash face first into the ground. He hurriedly reached out, Brother Meng care. But it was too late. Meng Jingzhou also landed face first in an artistic manner, producing a sharp sound. Despite his face covered in blood from the fall, he still raised his hand in victory and greedily grinned. You're too late, Brother Lu, but I am second. The next to step onto the 50th step was Mangu, who stood there panting, staring at the two strange fellows with a puzzled expression. Meng Jingzhou waved friendly. Come, Brother Mangu, sit here. Meanwhile, Lu Yang turned down and shouted, Future fellow disciples, keep going. Young Master Meng asked, What does keep going mean? Lu Yang explained with a smile. It means work hard, sprint, and hurry up. Meng Jingzhou suggested, Then let's cheer them on together. So the three of them sat on the mountaintop, waving and shouting encouragement to the struggling crowd below. The red-haired candidate finally erupted with power, letting out a powerful roar and sprinting upward like a god. All the remaining candidates followed suit. The cries of keep going echoed everywhere. They were no longer climbing in silence and suffering, but truly battling themselves under the watch and encouragement of those who had already finished. As the sunset gradually descended upon the majestic Mount Wenqin, the cheers continued without end. This Daoheart test had inadvertently turned into a festival of relentless effort. A faint smile appeared on Dai Buffan's face as he observed from afar. He and the eldest senior sister looked toward the candidates and nodded in satisfaction. These two brats are actually quite interesting.